Hey everyone, and welcome back to another My ENFP-ness, where you have some penis inside of you always. My name is Stevie. I'm an ENFP.
I'm Lisa. I'm an INTJ.
The anchor of my life that keeps me from straying off and finding myself in Somalia.
No, you're just flirting.
Now I'm just flirting. Today we're going to talk about what it was like being our respective, I want to say logos or signs, our types, and some of the positive and some of the negative.
You mean being our respective types growing up?
Yeah, as immature versions of ourselves, I would say. I was pretty immature as an ENFP. So, I mean, I can start if you want. When I was a kid, I was very loud. I was very happy. Always the class clown, but I was a class clown without being disrespectful. I was very well-mannered and outspoken. And when I was a teenager, I would say I was leaning more on the arrogant side. I noticed that a lot of ENFP stuff talks about promiscuity, and I never had that at all. I was raised Catholic and then became a Christian. I just kind of moved away from Catholicism. And I would say the Christian Catholic side of myself, Christian side of myself.
That's your Texas.
That's my Texas coming out. It kept me from being promiscuous out of fear and STDs.
You're still afraid.
Still afraid, yeah, that's true. So I was never the one for promiscuity. I didn't do any drugs, but I was always very loud and I didn't know how to calm that side of myself. I was very extroverted, but very introverted at the same time, which is common for ENFPs. So I'm an ambivert. Like, I would say I'm more introverted now than I am extroverted, but apparently that's not possible. I'm like 60% extrovert, but it depends on when I take the test. Sometimes I can even get INFP, but it's mostly always ENFP because I do like talking to people.
I think it's the circumstances of you being around people.
I like individuals. So, and that's really common for ENFPs. We don't like huge crowds. I don't even like going to busy restaurants. And, but the problem growing up at ENFP is people think you're really good at speaking, and you probably are really good at speaking, but you hate it because you are still very introverted. And I was always being asked to be on like speech teams, debate teams. When I was in college, people wanted me to do the pitches because I went for business, and I always hated doing speeches. I am a performer. I like to act, and I've been on TV several times, but I never really liked being the center of attention, which is weird, I think. I always found myself at the center of attention, but that's because of me being very eccentric, and also ENFPs are usually female, and we were just talking about this in our last video, the word association video, and that was growing up in South Texas as an ENFP was very difficult. You were seen as a lot of my traits were easily mistaken as either flirtatious and homosexual, like wearing bright clothes, wearing clothes that made me different. I was always wanting to stand out, and the males in my family were very rude to me. Like, I grew up with very masculine, stifling males in my family who also found my loudness and my confidence very intimidating, so they would always try to put me down. And it's something my brother noticed, who's an ESTJ, and he said he was surprised that I grew up still confident with all the people, especially men. I don't know what it was about elderly men who would make fun of me and put me down and stuff like that. I mean, it was really, really bad. That was probably the hardest part about growing up in ENFP, was struggling with other men who didn't like the things that I did and were very closed-minded, whereas I'm extremely open-minded. And so growing up in South Texas was hard because of the homosexuality thing. I'm not homosexual at all, but it doesn't bother me at all. I'm extremely open-minded. And thankfully I moved to California to become an actor, and that changed my life. It showed me that I feel like Texas is getting better, but California is where I was able to really shine and kind of open my wings up and become the ENFP I was always meant to be. And then when I came back to Austin, I was very confident myself, and Lisa has made me a much more mature ENFP. So able to remain still in a healthy way while still finding new experiences. And I was always chaotic, always unorganized. I was always chaotic. Disorganized is good?
Right, isn't it?
I think so.
Disorganized?
Yeah, extremely chaotic, extremely talkative, extremely eccentric. I was always a writer. I drew comic books, and I would, most of the times when I went to the principal's office, and I went a lot, it's in the nature of the ENFP to find themselves in bad situations, even though it was out of creativity. Yeah, I would write these horrible stories about people I didn't like bullies. I would write them into stories, and many times I had to go see the priest because I went to a Catholic school. So with girls, let's talk about girls. I was always seen as a very flirtatious person, and that's a huge
misconception.
Yeah, misconception for an ENFP. I was not flirting, I was just very nice, and when people see me talking to girls and I'm actually genuinely interested in what they're saying, they see it as I'm flirting or that I want something. And it was never that case. I just really enjoyed meeting new people and talking to everyone. It didn't matter who. One thing that I love about being an ENFP is that we're the champions, and we're the champions of the underdog. I was always willing to stand up for my own values, my own virtues, even at the cost of losing friends and people around me, and I would always stand up for the underdog.
Knowing your values is no joke.
Yeah, and I also have the dark humor of the ENFP as well. And of course that came with, I also suffer from depression and anxiety. The dark side of the ENFP is very true with me. I live on the extreme highs, extreme lows, just like a little tornado going around the apartment.
I do call you the tornado.
The tornado. And I could do a whole video on advice for ENFPs, especially males, but it really is I think we look into the future a lot, and I've always been that way, and I think that's a reason why I'm successful at a younger age, but I think it's very important for us to live in the now as much as possible, and I think journaling can help with that. But yeah, so that was me growing up as an ENFP. I said a lot of negatives, so I'll say a few positives and then you can go. Positives were, it was always easy for me to talk to girls. I never had that issue. I was popular, but I was like a hybrid popular. I could go with the popular kids, which I never ended up doing because I thought they were boring and lame. I didn't care about talking about sports or who was dating who. So I was mostly with the dorkier crowd, the nerds. I was on the acting troupe, I was in the improv troupes, I was in theater, but I could always move over to the popular kids and talk to them as well, as accepted in both, which made me the perfect champion for the underdogs. Yeah, so that was a positive. I was always able to talk. I was always extremely confident, sometimes too confident. I was always willing to try new things. Man, I could come up with more positive stuff, but I wouldn't change my type for anything because I always like being unique. And if you're an ENFP, you are most definitely going to be a very unique person. So
you can't help it.
No, yeah, it's a very satisfying type to be because you have set values that you can answer questions through. So if I have a dilemma, I always go back to my values, and I always know that I'm gonna have the strength to stand up for what I believe in, and I have the strength to stand up for someone who is in need. And I can make people feel better with my humor, and I think I'm a really good writer. I've published 13 novels and I'm working on my 14th, and that just goes to show you that ENFPs can learn to finish things, because what is known as being the hardest thing to finish? It's writing a book. So if I can do it, you can do it. But
there you go, championing them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're doing it right now.
I've always been doing that, inspiring others to do it, and then just kind of watching them grow, be free. So that's how I was as a kid, ENFP. Your turn.
Much different childhood I had.
Let's make the screen go black and white and have rain going down.
Okay.
It was 4 where I got into meth.
Jeez.
5 when I started to deal. It was young. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I waited till second grade to start feeling.
Yeah. What you want? We got Fruity Pebbles over here. We got we got Captain Crunch over here. What do you want? Okay, hurry up. Yeah. You bother me. Go.
Okay, so no. Okay, growing up as an INTJ, and I think it's interesting, most ENFPs are women and most INTJs are men, so we definitely, I think, each have a distinct take on
maybe
that smaller window into it.
I could definitely see it being more difficult for us as kids having types that are usually the other gender.
Yeah.
I mean, because I struggled with the whole homosexual thing and not getting along with other males. Mm-hmm. It was very, like, my masculine friends were very small. I mean, the friends who I made that were guys, it was very little. I usually had one friend. I never had a ton. I was always popular, but I only had like one or two best friends at any time.
Yeah.
So that's that ENFP wanting individual time for deep conversations and stuff. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack.
Oh, you're good. So I don't even know where to start. So I think it's a pretty common thing for INTJs. Intelligence is like really highly valued. And I was always a smart kid. My family, it's like, I mean, you know this. You go to my family's house and they don't talk about normal stuff because my mom is also an INTJ. My dad got INTJ. I think he may be not quite an INTJ.
Maybe an INFJ? No, he's a T.
Yeah. My whole family, I don't know exactly what they are, but if they're not INTJs, they're something very close. But all very intellectual people. So there's not, like when we were growing up, it was much like topics of conversation and what we talked about and learned and stuff was much more like intellectual conversations versus, I guess you could say, versus like social learning, if that makes sense. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like interacting with people was not something I did a lot. It was hard for me to make friends starting off because I went to a school across town because it was a better school and my dad worked there. So when you're in elementary school and you live all the way across town from everybody else, you don't really get to see them or play with them and while they're all playing together. So I was kind of isolated in that way from the start, which I didn't notice too much for a while because I had a brother and sister. But then once they left to go to college, I kind of realized like I didn't really have a social circle. I would have maybe one close friend and that's pretty much it. I was not outgoing at all. I would not strike up conversations with people. I would like, if they came to me, we could talk. But I think one of the things about an immature INTJ, which I was at the time, I was very smart for my age, is I thought I was smarter than everybody else, like an arrogance. And it's, what? What are you saying? I'm not like that anymore.
No. You have remnants.
It was like when you're an immature INTJ, you think everybody else is an idiot. You just feel like that sometimes because they aren't operating on your level. And I think especially like when you're younger, it's like usually kids aren't worried about like watching the news and debating current events, which is like what I did with my family and stuff.
Horrible.
You know?
That sounds terrible.
So it was hard to relate. And especially with other girls, I wasn't very girly as a kid. I mean, I wasn't like a tomboy necessarily, but it was just very hard for me to find things to relate to other people on. I was very closed off.
That was the easiest part for me.
Yeah.
'Cause I did so many things that I could talk to anyone about anything, and now it just gets better with age too.
Yeah.
I can talk about anything.
And it's very hard for me to feign interest in a topic if I'm not interested. It's really
That goes for both of us.
You talk about introverts and social settings draining your energy. If I have to fake being interested in something that I just really don't care about, I mean, social battery just like, it's zapped. I mean, almost immediately. I can talk for a few minutes and then it's seriously like, how can I get out of this? Mm-hmm. So
we don't like small talk.
No. Oh my God, it's so boring.
Both of our types
drive
don't
my
like
head into a wall.
Yeah, but see, I'll force it into something deeper and it usually makes people go away.
Yeah. Well, I can't even start off in small talk.
What happens? What do you think happens when we die? Is there a void or is there a warm welcome? Tell me what you think.
But yeah, so that was a lot of growing up as an INTJ, was feeling being unrelatable to everyone I was around. And you know, as you mature, you realize that no, not everybody's stupider than you. Right? People have all different kind of intelligences, and there's something you can learn from everybody and anybody.
Well,
there is something
you can learn,
take away from them.
Yeah, even negatives, like, look what he did.
Right. Like it's not completely useless. And learning how to make small talk, it is something that you need to know. I'm sorry, but it is. And after I got out of school, I wasn't interested in school because I had never had to try in high school. I never had to study. Kind of like, I think I talked about that in another video. I just got really good grades naturally. So then I go to college and all of a sudden I'm expected to study and be very, I don't know, you have to manage yourself and your time, and they don't care if you don't do your stuff. And I didn't care if I didn't do my stuff at that point. So I just left.
Yeah. It's weird because I feel like I should have been the one to leave, but as a kid, it was just, you're going to college. It's like Jesus is real and you're going to college kind of thing.
Well, for me, it was like I became very rebellious and I didn't want to be told what to do. And it was like, well, I don't want to take this class to get this degree. But then they're like, well, you have to take this class to get that degree. And it's like, well, then I'm not going to get the degree.
Yeah, mine was very much, I wanted the credentials. I wanted the
achievement of it?
Yeah, I wanted the achievement of it. The accreditation was very important to me. Yeah, so having something on the wall was very important to me as an ENFP.
Oh, that did not matter to me at all.
Yeah, like I wanted it.
That was when I was still pretty immature, and I was basically like, I know I'm smart. I don't care if you know it or anybody else knows it. I do that now. I do.
Yeah, when you proved it, though. You proved it. Well, because you're successful.
It's like, even right now, I think when I was younger, I would fight to make people understand how smart I was, and I would correct people a lot, and that definitely does not make you friends.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
No. And coming from my perspective, if I'm wrong, I want to know, right? But a lot of people don't want to know, and so you just tell them they're wrong, they just get upset. So that didn't make me any friends. But I think the biggest thing I was lacking was social skills and being relatable to people. And so after I left college, I ended up waiting tables. So it kind of was this two-sided thing. I was not a very good people person, but if you think about just the basic, like waiting tables, anticipating people's needs and staying ahead of what they want and giving good service, I was very good at that because I know what they want before they want it. You know what I mean?
You judging people?
So, and it forced me to learn to talk to people, and that's really where I think there was a big shift in my life, is learning how to just not talk to people about anything important, even just talk to people and let them talk about themselves. I think as advice for INTJs, if you want to be better at small talk, here's what you do. You ask somebody about themselves, you listen, and then you keep engaging them on that line of discussion.
ENFPs just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think we're all naturally good at it. We just hate it.
Oh, and don't ask yes or no questions, because then the conversation's over. Ask open-ended questions.
That's an improv thing too.
So that was just a little tidbit. But yeah, and then just as I matured, I realized I'm not smarter than everybody. I can learn something from anyone, and I like learning. I do.
Yeah.
So look at people if you look at a person as they're this entire world in a person, that's a world completely different from your own, you can talk to them and kind of get a peek into it.
Yeah, even if it is boring. It can make you grateful for what you have. Also, but you still do today, you have to earn the respect of an INTJ.
Yeah.
Well, you have to do the same for an ENFP, but I think it's a little bit more for the INTJ. Yeah. Being knowledge-based. So,
yeah, it's...
Because when I go to your job, I see you're very command respect, you know? And for me, it's just, I just am who I am, and I get it anyway. So, but I think that's why the ENFP and INTJ go well together. I never really had to earn your respect. I just was who I was, and being someone who is a high achiever, I just gained it.
Well, and you being not afraid to just be yourself earned my respect. Because I don't like it when I feel like people are faking or putting on an act or not saying what they really think. If I think somebody's just telling me what I want to hear, God, that's the most boring thing in the world.
I will say something I forgot. I wasn't promiscuous, but I did have a very big problem as a kid as a manipulator. I could manipulate, oh God, I was so good at it. Just never like horrible. Like I never messed with people's hearts or anything, but if I wanted to be homesick one day, holy crap, I would go so far and just, I would get my way. And it was very few people who could catch me in the act. I was really good at it. I could also change who I was. So it was very unhealthy for me to pretend to be someone who I wasn't. And I could keep that act up for a year. So that was very bad. And that's why I think going to California and allowing myself to be who I was normally, not who I was supposed to be. Yeah. But yeah, huge manipulator. Never in like too bad of things, but like getting myself out of trouble. I could talk my way out of anything, really. And using so many different tactics. And as I got older, I just dropped it because there was no need. If I'm having to manipulate my way out of something, it means I did something wrong. So I don't do the manipulation thing anymore. And there was something else that I did as an ENFP. A big problem that ENFPs have is we always are trying to find out who we are. And especially growing up in South Texas where I was very oppressed, and even though it was like a bomb and like these strings of power were coming out anyway and they couldn't hold me, so I just exploded into just this mess. And finally you came in and kind of like molded me like, this is who you are, this is what's important to you. And that was, I think all ENFPs wish they had a role model, someone that they could trust and someone who had values. Like I really liked Bruce Lee for a long time until I found out he was an adulterer, and I don't like anything about him anymore. To me, he had that one value that's extremely important to me and he crushed it. And to me, that makes you less of a person. And someone who's unapologetic about breaking that value, I'm getting upset about it right now.
I know you are.
So that's why values are very important to an ENFP, but it's important to relax, and you don't have to try so hard to find out who you are, and just let experience run its course and, feel things out. If you feel good about something, that's probably something that's important to you. And just relax and you'll find out who you are sooner or later.
I feel like it's the opposite for INTJ. I always knew who I was. Nope. I knew exactly who I was, but I had to learn to let other people be who they were and just not worry about it.
Like, I'll give you an example of me trying to be someone who I wasn't. Like, I didn't know who I was, but I wanted to know so badly, and also manipulating. I would tell kids when I was younger that I was a Pokemon trainer and that I had Pokemon, and I would, oh my God, they believed me 100%. I told them that, they believed me for a couple of years that I had Pokemon in my backyard, that I was Robin Hood's apprentice. That one was weird. I even took a shirt, cut it up, and even burnt it on spots. No, that was when I told them I was a volcano explorer. So I took this shirt and cut it all up and said I was Robin Hood's apprentice, because I always loved the story of Robin Hood, the chaotic good, because I am chaotic good. Jesus. The Robin Hood story, even as an adult, like I love Robin Hood. So I would tell kids that. And then I told them I was a volcano explorer and like took a shirt and burnt the ends of it and wore that to school. And I mean, everyone believed me. And then one time I told them I was all Cyclops, so I would wear glasses in class. So I told them if I raised it, beams would come out of my eyes. Yeah. And when you can get someone to little kids believe that stuff, I was pretty good at it. I knew how to manipulate my way into being someone who I wasn't, but I always wanted to be that champion, that superhero, that protagonist character. Mm-hmm. Still do, but now I know how to, the way I express that now is helping other people, and that's through charity and stuff like that. Charity has become a huge part of my life, and that allows me to get those hero qualities out by helping other people and not just doing it for self-glory.
Yeah.
But I could go on. That was a huge part that I had to grow out of, is that manipulation. Being too good at talking was a problem. So,
Yeah.
yep. Anything else you want to add?
I can't think of anything.
This is a long video. I think we've been meaning to do this for a while.
Yeah.
So, all right, is that it?
That's it.
Well, guys, thank you for joining in. Even if you're not an ENFP INTJ, you still found out a little bit more about, these are basic things for both the ENFP and INTJ, stuff that we're all gonna struggle with, I feel. And if you didn't have one problem that you shared with us, maybe it was something else. And if you are younger, maybe this does help you a lot more. And I would say even adult ENFPs and INTJs might be struggling with this, because I think it's always something we gotta watch out. These shadow parts of ourselves.
The need to correct people.
Yeah.
Every day.
You still do that with me. You used to.
It is. It can be very difficult. We've been blessed.
We've been blessed. Monkey, you're on TV. No, Monkey.
No, stop. No. Come here. Okay.
Thank you,
Sign
guys.
us off.
Hit that subscribe button, join the penis family, and we'll see you next time.
So good. Don't.
Trust him all like it's